American General Pictures imprisons you in a bloody web of terror. Spider Baby has the seductive innocence of Lolita and the savage hunger of a black widow. Spider Baby will give you nightmares forever. No man that loves her lives to love another. Her sweet kisses engulf you in a bloody web of horror. Spider Baby will thrill you, then kill you. Starring Spider Baby and Lon Cheney. For the horror thrill of your life, see Spider Baby from American General Pictures.
For the next movie, I picked Spider Baby from 1967. Now, one of the things I think I forgot to do, I'm not sure, to mention in the Carnival of Souls thing, is that even though it's a low-budget movie, it's still very highly regarded. Now, Spider Baby is also a cult movie, another low-budget 60s horror movie that just completely bombed. It bankrupted the company, but is beloved today because it is so weird and the characters are so great. You just can't take your eyes off them. Even though the story is kind of dumb. It's a dumb story. But Spider Baby, 1967, directed by a feller named Jack Hill, who bankrupted his production company making this movie. All-star cast, right? Kind of a new and old all-star cast. So we have Lon Cheney Jr. as Bruno, who's like the caretaker to the Merrey children. Now, I'm not sure who Mr. Merrey is, right? Who the dad is, but he was his butler kind of thing, and he just calls him the master, right? These are the master's children. Sid Haig is in it as Ralph, and he's one of the sons of the master. It stars these two daughters, Virginia, played by Jill Banner, and Elizabeth, played by Beverly Washburn. For simplicity's sake, Elizabeth is the blonde one, and Virginia is the dark-haired one who is obsessed with spiders. Okay, and that's how we figure it out. You'll know who Sid Haig is, and you'll know who Lon Cheney Jr. is. It starts off with who we later find out is Peter. This guy Peter, who's the master's brother. He's telling us about this thing called Merrey syndrome, which is a very unique syndrome in that it only affected this one family. And what it did, it caused sort of a degeneration. I think it starts around age 10, where there's like a mental and physical degeneration. So you get, we're talking just like a demented redneck family kind of a vibe, right? A very early version of it. Inbred weirdos. They even say it's due to inbreeding.
Bruno, you mean all three of these?
Yes, sir. It's the unfortunate result of inbreeding.
Never mind that now, Bruno. We can go into all that at the proper time.
I mean, in one scene, Lon Cheney is telling it to this lawyer guy named Schlocker, right? What it is. And he says this, not my words.
It's either, you might call them retarded.
Retarded? Well, I should think so. Nearly full grown and never a day in school.
Emily and Peter, who are the master's brother and sister, want to, it makes no sense, but they want to claim the master's property by somehow proving that the children of the master are mentally incompetent or something. And they've hired on this guy named Schlocker, right? Which is amazing. The guy's named Schlocker. He's a little tiny guy with a Hitler mustache. And he's the lawyer, and he has an assistant named Anne. And they all show up, right, at the Merrey residence, which is like it looks like a psycho mansion, right? So they show up at the psycho mansion, and they're there to prove that these kids can in no way I don't know, inherit the master's money or whatever. Basically, the plot is you've got to spend a night in the spooky house. So the 4 people who show up and have to survive the night, I guess, and then prove that this family's crazy, and then somehow they inherit all the money. Whatever, it doesn't really matter. It's kind of a fun movie. It's got, like, I mean, you'll realize it's kind of a fun movie when you hear the opening theme or the music throughout.
Dreams and bones and bats and bones and teenage monsters in haunted homes, a ghost on the stair, a vampire's bite. Better beware, there's a full moon tonight.
So anyways, groovy music, paper-thin plot. But there's a reason why this movie has a cult following. And that's because of the acting. The acting on this is through the fucking roof. There wasn't much to work with here. But Lon Cheney Jr. just knocks it out of the park playing the role of a caretaker for some kind of crazy and psychotic children.
Now, children, I want to tell you something, and I want you to listen very, very carefully. You remember last time when those 2 children climbed over the wall and Virginia almost caught them in her spider web? Mm-hmm. Well, that got people to wondering about us, and that's bad. Your daddy wouldn't like that, Virginia. Now, I can't be here all the time. You know that I have to take Ralph into the city to the doctor once in a while. And Virginia, you were supposed to mind your sister. You were not supposed to play Spider anymore. Now, you never can play Spider again.
More on that later. Crazy and psychotic children who, frequently murder people. But he's very caring towards them, and he's trying to talk them through it. He realizes they have a disorder, this syndrome, and he's trying to protect them, and he's trying to teach them to do the right things. And it really comes through, and he's trying to put on the best possible face towards these outsiders who he knows is going to be a threat. But he also knows that even if they were to fool these people, there would just be more to come, and it's ultimately, it's never gonna be a good outcome for the Merrey children.
A long time ago, I promised your daddy that I'd take care of you and Ralph forever and ever. And then came this Mr. Schlocker, and he was a nasty, mean man. He wanted to take you away where old Bruno would never see you again. But you hurt Mr. Schlocker, and he can't do that now. But soon there'll be more Mr. Schlockers, and they'll be nastier and meaner than he was, and you won't be able to hurt all them because there'll be too many of them.
They can't take me away from you, Bruno. They can't make me go away. You won't let them, will you, Bruno?
I promised your daddy I wouldn't.
The Merrey children. Let's talk about that just for a second, because I do have to bring it up. This is another great part of the movie, is that when you watch it, you think of these 3, Elizabeth, Virginia, and Ralph, as children, right? But when you look at them, you're like, these aren't children. I mean, they act like children. They really act like children, but they're not. They're adults, which kind of would make sense if they were this sort of mentally regressed into this childhood state. I guess it makes sense. Whenever the kids are on the screen, be it Virginia, Ralph, or Elizabeth, you're glued to it, right? And when they're not on the screen and you're watching Schlocker, rummage around the house, and you're like, oh, who cares? You're just hoping he gets killed. This sort of middle part of the movie, they are kind of like, the girls are walking around in camisoles. The fucking what's her name? Emily, the sister, is in full-on lingerie with garter belts and all like whatever that shit's called, and she's running around. So there's a little bit of that stuff, That's the way it is in horror. And like I said, it gets a little dark. I don't know. They spook Emily. She runs out of the house, gets caught by Ralph. And then this weird little scene happens. It's...
Hey, Liz.
I mean, it's not really shown, but it's kind of implied what was happening there. Kind of weird. I mean, they did say, I don't know. I don't even want to get into the psychology of this. They did mention incest earlier. So maybe that's just part of the Merrey family. I don't know. Kind of a weird scene. I think it probably freaked a few people out, right? Even though it's like nothing. It's absolutely nothing that they show. With Carnival of Souls, it's more about the cinematography and music and sort of the weird vibe with it. But with Spider Baby, it's all about the characters, right? The characters and how they act and emote and they create the vibe. I mean, the cinematography in Spider Baby is not good. It's in black and white, but it's underlit, and there's a lot of issues with it. The music is goofy. And with Spider Baby, there really isn't much of a story. It's just survive the night in the haunted house, right? Oh, by the way, at the end of Spider Baby, Lon Cheney Jr. blows them all up.
What's it gonna do, Bruno?
Well, it's going to make a big flash and go bang.
Oh, boy.
He just blows them all up. And the only, doesn't really matter but the only reason I mention it is because then we see Peter, right? Who I guess inherited all the wealth, talking to the camera and explaining the Merrey syndrome to somebody, right? Which is fine. It's not when you're doing it doesn't really break the fourth wall, especially back then. These old horror movies had a narrator and stuff like that, and you're like, oh, it's the storyteller, and you kind of accepted it. Except at the end of Spider Baby, it's kind of weird because he's like, blah, 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 and this is what happened. And then he closes the book. And then it cuts, and then it pans to, his wife and his daughter.
A lot of good came of this. Being the only survivor, naturally I inherited the wealth of the Merreys, which later turned out to be quite vast. More important than that, though, my wife. That's our daughter, Jessica.
Mommy, may I go outside now?
Well, all right, Jessica, dear. But be sure and come back into the house if it starts raining again.
Oh, I will, Mommy.
So now we're no longer in some weird exposition thing where this narrator guy is telling us stuff. We're actually watching his family, and then we follow his daughter around for a bit, and then it cuts back to him, and he comments, and we're like, whoa, who the hell are you talking to, man? It almost feels like is there someone in the room that we're not aware of or something? I don't know. I thought it was weird. But the punchline, I guess. I mean, it's a punchline. It's supposed to be a funny, quirky, Munstery Addams Family kind of a movie that kind of went a little dark. The actors took it way too seriously. Peter has a daughter, right? And then she's a creepy girl, and she sees a spider, and she's obsessed with it. And then it's like, the end. Question mark. That's how you end a movie. All right. Well, that's great. That's it for this one. Stay safe and have a good day. Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy.